Welcome back to Meaningful Conversations Live with Beata. I'm here every Tuesday at noon. It's episode 93. OMG, yes? What is a year and a half already when I run this show. It's live, and I always bring another change makers because I'm all about change and positive uh, improvement. My guests, they bring stories that they actually experience in their own life. It's not something that it's not true, and my goal is to inspire you to create more greatness and more positive, meaningful experiences in your own life. Well, I'm very excited. Today I have the one and only Barry Overton with me from Denver. Yes, how are you, Barry?
I'm doing great, and I'm very pleased and grateful to be here with you.
Thank you so much. Today we gonna talk about greatness, and my goodness, this is the best part of the year to talk about that. The three keys to igniting your greatness. Barry, let me go from the beginning. So, you are the ex military and law enforcement officer, top producing real estate agent, motivational speaker, and author, successful entrepreneur. Excuse me, I think we need a little bit of explanation here. How the law enforcement officer became motivational speaker and author. So, is there anything common between all these jobs that you did that brought you here where you are today? And so tell us about that, and how do you impact people in life?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I would definitely say that there is something common in regards to all of those, and it's me. It's this burning desire that I have inside to really just live. You know, we hear that saying, living our best life. And truly, what that means for me is enjoying every moment of life, doing the things in life that bring me joy, bring me fulfillment, and allow me to work in my purpose. So, you know, a lot of times people, when they see the resume and they see, man, 26 years in law enforcement, 19 years in real estate, 20 years as an entrepreneur, how old are you? And, and you know, it just comes down to, yes, there's a lot of overlap with some of these, but what I learned very early in life is that I had some things that I had regret on early on in life. And I told myself, I didn't like that feeling of regret. I didn't like the feeling of quitting on something, doing something that I really enjoyed, and then one day just deciding to give it up, and the regret that I had to live with. So now, and I see so many people that say, yeah, you know, once I retire, I'm going to do this, or once I have time, I'm going to do this. And for me, it's like, no, I can carve out some time to make that work right now. And again, I'm just on this journey right now where I want to get everything that I desire to do in.
But so you said in your book, and we will go there, you said that law enforcement, the military career that you had, taught you out of the box thinking, the strategic thinking. So where, and I of course I know it, I know you a little bit, but you are for sure out of the box person thinking. Did you have ever a time in your life when you felt like you are in the box, and how was it?
Yeah, it's not fun being in the box. So yeah, I try to live most of my life outside the box. But I do attribute, you know, again, some of that outside the box thinking and quick thinking. As a police officer, again, you have to make split second decisions, and you have to be able to stand behind the decisions that you make. So that those attributes helped me in real estate, and it helped me in other entrepreneurial endeavors. So while again, law enforcement is very different from real estate, or is very different from the concert promotion business that I once had, there are certain tools and traits that I learned along the way that helped me to grow in each of those businesses. And, one of the things that I do quite a bit right now is marketing. I do a lot of marketing in regards to my real estate business right now. The book was just released last month, so I'm doing a ton of marketing on that. I don't have a marketing background at all. And it was just a matter of me finding the things that draw my attention when I'm looking at different marketing, social media marketing tools. The things that capture my attention, I just learned how to use those as well. So I took, again, it was kind of some on the job training, so to speak, that I learned once again from law enforcement, because a lot of times you're having to do things on the fly, because when you show up as a police officer, you show up to a domestic violence situation or a bank robbery or something along those lines. There's not a script as to how everything will play out. There's not a blueprint as to what steps you will take. You have to, be able to learn on the fly and make adjustments in that particular moment. And that's really just one of the traits that I was able to bring over into business.
That is amazing. Thank you for sharing and this part of you, because, oh my gosh, first of all, when I met you, I would never thought that you work in law enforcement. To me, probably because of the movies, when I see the police officer, I'm scared. They are tough. They are not really friendly. And you're the most friendly person I know. So I was like, oh my gosh, there is something different about you, because you mentioned in a lot of videos interviews that I checked, that you followed mentors in your life. You always had mentors, they still have. Yeah. But I want to just go back a little bit to this law enforcement personality that to me is strong. And until I met you, I was scared, but now I was like, wow, they are really friendly. So when I went to your book, I could see it. So one of the first and very something what stood out for me, the sentence that you are using is, there is greatness in you and I'm about to prove it. This is a bold statement, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's where I see this strong and confident law enforcement officer, where you have to make decision and you stand behind your decision.
Yeah.
So tell us about that, about the book, and how law enforcement person is sharing greatness and teaching people, ignite their greatness in them.
Yeah, it's really a statement of conviction, because I mean it when I say that. And I can say that with so much conviction because of the fact of my own experience and my story of realizing my greatness. And before I get into that part, I want to just break down greatness for a second, because a lot of times when we hear greatness, we, as a human race, I think we really apply that term to the wealthy, fame, fortune, people that have big titles behind their names. We think that that's what greatness is. But truly, greatness is, Kobe Bryant said it best, and it's really just your ability to inspire other people and have them do the same thing, where they inspire others and they inspire others. And that's what it really comes down to. So yeah, while we look at your Michael Jacksons or your Michael Jordans or your Tom Brady's of the world, and we see how they perform on the basketball court or the dance floor or the football field, and we say, man, that is greatness. But I can tell you, when I look at a single mom that raises 3 kids, and they become doctors and attorneys and accountants, Well, that mom is greatness. Yeah, what her kids have achieved is greatness, but it started somewhere. It started with her ability to be able to raise them as a single parent. So one thing I think that is very important for each and every one of us is when you hear the term, there's greatness in you, because I heard that starting in 2010. I started my personal development track in 2008, really immersing myself in a lot of different speakers and authors. Think and Grow Rich was the first book that I read, but it was in 2010 that I started listening to a gentleman that we're both very familiar with, Mr. Les Brown. And I was hearing, there's greatness in you. There's greatness in you. And to be honest with you, in 2010, it was in one ear and out the other. I was like, man, he's not talking to me. and by 2012, all of a sudden it was going in one ear and it was getting stuck right there in the brain. And I started thinking to myself, okay, is there greatness in me? And what does that greatness look like? So I really kind of started to study greatness at about that time. And during that time, I was going through a transformation in my career. I retired in 2013 from law enforcement, and I actually retired. I should still be working as a police officer right now. I retired 10 years early. And it was due to, again, a change in the mindset, a change in my belief, and all of a sudden, with the change in the belief, my environment around me began to also change. And the success that I was having began to also change. So I realized, okay, there is greatness in me. And now I started to believe in it. And once I started to believe in it, it was really just fertilizing the soil of that greatness and the seed of that greatness, and allowing it to grow and to the point where we're at now. But I'm still watering, I'm still fertilizing even to this day.
Wow. So oh my gosh, I love what you just said, because first you just heard about greatness. It did not stick, but then one day you hear it in your mind, the little voice is saying there is greatness in you, and you started thinking about that. Then it's from what I see, there was awareness, and it's what is very important. Believe, you said believe it, and allowing. Correct me if I'm wrong, the allowing was the steps that you took towards, so it was action, yes, that you allowed to sit it in you. Oh wow. So tell us because you found the greatness in you, you see greatness in others, and from what I read and in your book, and it's very human, in human nature, that we see easily greatness in others, but where really we seek this greatness in us. I have to be honest. I see greatness in me, but it's not. I'm still on the path. It's not sitting in my heart yet. So I'm like, which part? What is my greatness really? So can you guide us through it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to give you a little bit of my case. I like to call it the case that I build to prove greatness. Again, being a police officer, I spent 17 years as a detective. And so when I had to go into court, I had to prove my case, and I had to lay out all the evidence to be able to prove my case beyond a reasonable doubt. So with the book, that's really what I did here as well, is I laid out a case that is really irrefutable in regard to we all have greatness in us. And I'm going to start, and then I'm going to actually show you or tell you where greatness lies in the body. But to start, I want you to think about for a second the odds. What are the odds of just you being great and having greatness in you? And when we think from a standpoint, the odds of being bit by a shark are about 3,000 to 1. And I would venture to guess, being in Colorado and not near an ocean, my odds are pretty good. I will never be one of those one. Now, the odds of being struck by lightning are about 6,000 to 1. The odds of being or actually winning the lottery, 175 million to 1. I don't know anyone that's ever won the lottery. So those odds are probably pretty right, because there's 350 million people just in the US. The odds of winning the lottery are 175 million to 1. So that's more than half of the people that are in the US. So the odds of being born, the odds of just being conceived are 400 million to 1. And when you look at the odds of actually being born, it gets into trillions. But yet and still, we are all here. We made it. We beat the biggest odd that life has to offer. So for me, that was proof evident that we all have greatness in us and we're here for a purpose. And so that's one part of the book where I'm proving that we're already beating the odds. And the biggest struggle that we could have ever had in life actually was to have life and to be able to get here. And so from that standpoint, I want you to also think about the human body, because I go through the book and I show you in the human anatomy where greatness lies and why it lies there. So, and you mentioned you're at the point of believing in your greatness, but it's not truly, just seated in your heart just yet. The funny thing about it, in the book, there's an illustration that I show of greatness lies right next to the heart. See, we have this pericardial cavity within our chest. This is where the heart lies, in the pericardial sac, and there's a space there. Now, doctors and scientists would probably tell you that that space is for the heart to be able to contract as it's pumping blood throughout the body. But I'm going to tell you that that space is where greatness lies. That space is where it is seated. Why is it seated there? Because while we think with our minds and our minds create ideas, the driving force to our body is our heart. Because you've probably heard the term that someone is brain dead, but their heart still pumps. See, the mind can die, but the heart will still continue to pump. So the heart is the driving force. So greatness should lie next to that driving force. It's like the battery for the body, because if the heart stops, eventually everything else will stop functioning as well, if the heart is not, does not start pumping again. So again, this is that area within us. And I believe that we all have an amazing spirit that was given to us by God. And that spirit and our greatness are really one and the same. And one of my favorite quotes is a Mark Twain quote. And it says, "The two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why." And I think that, again, obviously that 400 million to 1 and that day that you became that one, very important day. But that day that you find out why, and I can tell you, for me, it was about 47 years old. So when you say that, you know that you have greatness in you, but it's not truly just, resonating with the conviction yet, it's a matter of time, Beata, I'm telling you. Because 47 years of life it took for me, 5 years ago, that I realized what my purpose in life was. And the funny thing about it, when I realized it, I was already working in it pretty much all my life. See, my purpose, when I look at my military background, I served for my country. I fought in a war for my country, and I served for the freedom of my country and the freedom of others. As a police officer, I served my community. And in the businesses, every business that I've had that has given me my most fulfillment has been something that allowed me to serve other people. And what I realize is that is what my purpose, because that's where I get my most joy, is being of service to others. And really, with Ignite Your Greatness and being able to share my story and share with conviction the idea that each and every one of us have greatness in us, it's a service that I'm giving back, of getting people to, again, ignite their own greatness and believe in it. and really take their lives to a whole nother level.
So share the 3 keys that we have to know, or I don't know, maybe there are 3 steps that will take me there, where I can find, feel, and act on ignite my greatness.
So in the book, I kind of break down, once I prove to you that we all have greatness in us, I think it's important to then give you the steps to igniting your own greatness. And it really comes down to the first one being belief. Just as you mentioned a few minutes ago, your belief is growing. And as it continues to grow, you're going to see that the other 2 steps become so much easier to do. But then you're going to also see the results around you continue to get better and better and move you towards your goal. So belief in that you do have this greatness inside of you. And again, belief that the other people around you have greatness inside. And one of my favorite things to do when I meet a new person is to identify their special talents and skills and tell them, and just tell them. I mean, it's an odd conversation to walk up to someone that I just met or having a conversation with and say, you have greatness in you, right? And this is what I see. And being able to have that conversation because of my belief in my own greatness, but now believing in someone else's, and hopefully giving them a spark to believe in their own greatness. And a big part of that belief, it takes mentorship, it takes personal development to really understand. You and I are in a course right now that a big emphasis of it is how we think and how we believe. And those 2 things, when they come together, create some amazing results for so many people. And we're experiencing about 4 or 5 months in, and we're starting to experience some of those very things. And one of the things that I like to get people to understand is the current place that you are in life right now, whether you're happy with it, but there's a lot of people that are not necessarily happy with their current status in life. But I can tell you that it's your current thinking that leads to your current belief, which activates your current behavior that gives you your current results. So if you want to increase the results and increase your life to a point of you have dreams and you want your life to emulate your dreams, it's a matter of increasing your thinking to increase your belief that increases your behavior that will then increase the results that you're looking to achieve.
Wow, that was deep. So everyone write it down, because it's like Barry said, everything starts in your mind, then you can see it around you. And if the results are not, it's very short summary what you said, what you see around your results, either you like it or not, it's what you produce starting with your mind. And that actually leads me to the other question, because you talk about something like can't lose mindset. Yeah, it's what I pronounced it well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how do you build that kind of mindset? How did you come up with that term?
So the can't lose mindset is really thinking from a perspective of, in life, there's not winning and losing, but there's winning and lessons. There's truly not failure in life. One of my favorite quotes is by Thomas Edison, where people asked him about failing at creating the incandescent light bulb 1,000 times before he got it right. And his response is, I didn't fail at it. There were just 1,000 steps to creating the light bulb. So it's all about the mindset in regards to what you believe. So for me, as I experience things that are not, maybe they're not going in the winning direction that I'm expecting them to go, but there's a lesson to be learned that will help me get to the winning direction. I think if you look at a football team, a basketball team, whatever the case may be, when they lose a game, they go back and they look at the game, the video footage of the game, and they break it down. They look at all the different mistakes and errors that were made. This is a lesson. So again, they're taking a loss and turning it into a lesson. So that's really where the can't lose mindset is. It's always just looking at it as lessons, because you think about it, if we take failure as exactly what that word says, then we start to adopt the term, and we look at ourselves as a failure. If we take losing as just that, we lost, we're losing in life, we then begin to adopt the term and we think of ourselves as a loser.
So for everyone who is listening us, the question might be, okay, you are trained, you are the law enforcement officer, you are in military, they train you to have that kind of mindset. How do I start? Me, this average person that is dealing with maybe not having a job today, maybe health, maybe they lost someone in their family. And I know that you also talk about struggles in your book, and it's easy to focus on struggles. But when we are in the situation, to make the positive change is very challenging. And again, for you, it seems to be easy because you lived it. You created, you involve your greatness. What would be the one advice for someone who is sitting there and thinking, yes, Barry, yes, it's easy for you, but how about me? You don't know my situation.
And the funny thing is, I would say that right back to them, you don't know my situation as to where I came from. And one of my favorite terms that I really created was, the struggle is real, but so is your greatness, because we will talk about how the struggle is real and we'll believe that the struggle is real. That is a term that people use all the time. The struggle is real, but you don't hear people saying, but so is my greatness. And that's the thing I think that we have to really attach to. If the struggle can be real, so can your greatness, also be real. And for me, you mentioned the law enforcement background, but I can tell you, one of the things I always tell people is when people have bad things happen in their life, that's when they call the police. So people don't ever call the police when things are great in their life. It's when it's a bad situation. So, yeah. So what you have to realize is police officers, we're used to being called and going into a negative situation day after day after day. And what that created, I can tell you, the person I am now, I was not 12 years ago, because I was very jaded. I had a very negative energy, and it truly is a nature of the job. They talk about post-traumatic stress in military soldiers. There's also post-traumatic stress in firemen and paramedics and police officers and first responders, just because of some of the things that we see that the general public will never put their eyes on. You may see it in a movie, but we would see it in real life. And so for me, it was a conditioning of the mind to be able to deal with some of those situations, but it was not being dealt with in a positive way. So really for me, it started with the personal development, personal growth, who I was listening to and who I was reading. And and having an open mind about it, because I think that was the biggest thing for me as a police officer, because in 12 years ago, I was 40 years old. So 40 years old is when I started opening my mind to personal development. That's why I love to see these kids that are in their early 20s now that are doing the things that it took me to get at 40 to start. So that's probably the biggest key, I would say, is really being able to open your mind to the thinking of successful people and understanding the power in that thinking and the belief.
Wow. Yes. Start educating yourself about yourself and get to
Yeah.
know yourself.
Mhm.
It's what I remember from our training as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. Well, you gave us so much knowledge and it's based all on your experience. I'm so thankful for our conversation. We have a lot of people here. If any of you guys you have questions, please ask now. And I will. Oh, Gabriel, hello. We have Gabriel Garlin with us. Thank you so much for being here. Love the conversation. We had Ian. He unfortunately had to leave, but yes, we love you, Ian. Thank you for being here with us. What is the best way for people to get to know you more, to find more about what you do, what you did, and what is your next mission?
So my social media platforms, I'm on Facebook and it's just simply Barry L. Overton. On Instagram, I think I'm Barry Overton there. And then on LinkedIn is Barry L. Overton as well. And I'm on all three of those platforms on a daily basis. So would love to be able to connect, and you can send me messages through those platforms as well, and be happy to respond. And Beata, I actually realized that I only gave you the first key to igniting your greatness and that's belief. So I'll jump into the other two, and then we can go back to questions here. But so
Yes.
once you have, okay, so once you have the belief and you have this conviction of knowing that there's greatness in you, now it's identifying again your gifts, your talents, and putting a plan around those things. So, whether it's, again, it could be opening a business, or it could be just making sure that you're raising good kids, good humans that grow up to be great adults. So whatever it is that you're looking for in your fulfillment, but it all requires planning. And the best way to be able to build a plan or a blueprint for yourself in regards to really just igniting that greatness, in many cases, it's not about reinventing the wheel. A lot of times the things that you're trying to achieve, someone has already done them before. And one of my favorite quotes is Tony Robbins, and he says that if you want to be successful, find someone that has achieved the results that you want and copy what they do until you achieve the same results. That's brilliant. And it's pretty simple. But I think that we're taught in school not to be a copycat. You can't copy off of someone else's paper. So we kind of get this mindset of we can't necessarily copy someone else. But when you get into the business world, the entrepreneurial world, or just the world of being successful, it's a matter of duplicating what success looks like, and being able to find the people that have achieved the things in life that you want to achieve. I think both you and I would definitely agree with that, because this year 2020, I know that I have spent the most money I have ever spent on personal development, because I wanted to learn from the very best out there. And I know, Beata, you've done quite a bit of the same thing. So that's a big part of the planning. And then the final one, the final step is execution. And you mentioned it a few minutes ago, but I can tell you this is the toughest step, because this is the one that requires action. This is the one that really kind of puts you out there. This is the one where you have that fear of failure sets in. You have fear of being ridiculed by friends or family or things of that nature that may not support you. So it's the biggest step. But when you start to execute, that's why you have to fall back on the belief. When you start having that fear, you have to fall back on the belief. I can tell you what I've learned in regards to fear. One of the books that I've read multiple times, I'm actually just started reading again, because one of our mentors just brought it up that he's reading it, and it's Outwitting the Devil. And in this book, it's Napoleon Hill interviewing the devil. And right at the beginning of the book, the devil asked Napoleon Hill, he said, I want you to refer to me as Your Majesty. I'll answer any question that you ask me, but you must refer to me as Your Majesty. And Napoleon Hill asked him, why is that? And he says, because I control 98% of the world. And he stated, I control them through fear. And he also mentioned, many people think of me as, this red demon with horns, but I don't take a physical form. Where I live and I reside is in the mind of those that have negative thoughts. And when I understood that, okay, anytime I'm having a negative thought, anytime I'm having fear, anytime I'm having doubt of the things that I want to do or achieve in life, that is the devil at work in my mind. So it becomes this battle with me, and really the devil is no competition. I could just say it like that at this point, because my belief in myself and in my God is just so very strong that there's no place for him within my mind to be able to give those negative thoughts. So that's where the execution. So what I did is I reversed fear. So instead of being fearful of ridicule in regards to the next steps that I'm making in life and trying or taking a step in being successful with something, I fear not doing it and going back to what I mentioned before, having the regret that I have to live with because I allowed fear to keep me from doing something that I really wanted to do. So my fear is more of regret of not doing something than actually going out and doing it.
Wow, powerful. If I can just bring it back, step number 1 is belief. Step number 2 is identifying gifts and talents. And step number 3 is execution, which is action. And instead of fearing doing something what is maybe new for you, do it so you don't have any regrets. And if we have time we have Gabriel. He actually asked 2 questions. Gabriel said, how have built such a wonderful mindset, and what are some of the things you do to maintain it? And then he asked, maybe we can make it one. So what would you suggest to someone struggling to find their path to greatness? Don't know which one you want to respond to first.
Yeah, I'll go with the first one. And really, Gabriel, like I said, it's been a process. And I think in many occasions, when people see the success that you're currently having, they weren't there for the struggle. They weren't there for the doubt and the fear. And that really wasn't public. It really wasn't something that people were available to see. And I can tell you, being a police officer, one of the things about, a police officer is you have to have composure at all times. So in the face of danger, you have to be stoic. You have to, show bravery and courage, but you could be shaking in your boots inside. And so I can tell you that there was a lot of times that people were around me that they didn't necessarily see the fear. But that's, again, just from my training. One thing I would suggest, Gabriel, is whether you have the fear or not, whether it shows or not, just continue to build on your belief. Because I'm telling you, that is the cornerstone to really building and igniting your greatness, is being able to have that belief. Because there are going to be so many times, I can tell you this year, 2020, there's been so many occasions where there could have been fear, there could have been doubt. And for a short period of time, there was. I didn't know what my real estate business was going to look like in the middle of March, when all of a sudden everything was shutting down. But I told myself, okay, I have to adjust with this situation. And when I made those adjustments and started meeting with clients through Zoom, I started showing houses through WhatsApp and FaceTime, I took a whole different approach to doing my business. But I could have been someone that just said, okay, real estate, I can't do real estate, and I'm going to crash and burn, and I'm going to have to figure something else out. And I could have just gave up on it. But it was, and it's been over the years of, again, the personal development. Les Brown has been a huge impact in my life, and understanding that the words, it's possible. If you listen to, he has a speech, if you go to YouTube and just put Les Brown, it's possible, that speech in itself will give you so many nuggets, golden nuggets of how to be able to just believe that anything is possible in your life, and to how to maintain it. It's an ongoing process. So, I've talked about starting personal development 12 years ago, but I will never stop. It's a daily process for me. It's kind of like, when you took a shower this morning. Well, chances are, if you're hygienic, you're going to take a shower tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. We can't say, hey, I took a shower, so I'm good for all of 2021. No, you may be good, but you're not going to have many friends around you if you do that. But it's personal development and finding inspiration is the same way. It's a daily process to keep yourself in a very positive mindset. Because you think about it, if you did it one time, kind of the same scenario, you do it the first day of 2021, and you don't take in any positive thinking and mentorship and things of that nature for the rest of the year. Well, your thinking is going to be stinking. There's this thing called stinking thinking. So it's just like that shower that I talked about. So we have to continue to maintain that for ourselves and continue to grow. And I can't remember what the other question was.
Well, so I missed that question. He asked, one of your shortcomings that taught you one lesson.
Great question. And it goes back to the biggest lesson I learned in life is regret. I didn't really get into that story, but and I'll make it short, but the story is, as 7 years old, I started playing Little League football. And from 7 to the age of about 15, all I wanted in life was to be a pro football player. I wanted to play in the NFL. And everything that I did from 7 to 15 was really putting me on that course to be able to do that. Well, at 15, there were some distractions that came into life. One of those distractions is I got hurt playing football, and I didn't like being hurt. I didn't like the feeling of being hurt. So all of a sudden, it was one of those things that started to kind of chip away at this dream that I had. And also I started having distractions, like I started liking girls, and girls became more important than football and
Right.
more important than chasing my dream. And I started making excuses. I started making excuses not to practice and not to do the things that I'd been doing for so many years, to a point where I finally quit. I gave up on my biggest dream as a kid. And part of it was people telling me, there's only a certain amount of people that can make it to the NFL. What makes you think you're so special? And then I started believing in that. What makes me think I'm so special? And I quit on my dream. And like I said, so I have a lot of NFL. I live here in Denver. I know a lot of guys that are Bronco players, retired players, and I hang out with a lot of those guys. And it's always been in the back of my mind, what if I didn't quit? But we'll never know. But I can tell you that one lesson of regret told me I never want to say what if about anything else in my life. And that's why, you see Barry Overton, police officer, real estate agent, concert promoter, author, speaker, who knows what's next, because if I feel a desire to do something, I'm going to do it. So that one lesson taught me that.
Wow, I think it's a beautiful statement to end our conversation. Whatever desire you have, go and at least try it. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
So you don't have to what if yourself at the end of your life, or not even the end, maybe in halfway, who knows. Is there any last thought that you would like to leave our audience with?
Yeah, I would definitely want to just say that again, 2020 has been a year of struggle for so many. And it goes back to that term that I mentioned earlier. The struggle is real, but so is your greatness. So unleash and release all the struggle that you felt of 2020 and go into this next year focusing on a new term, and then there's greatness in me and believing in that, and taking all the necessary steps, whether it's mentorship, whether it's audio books, reading, whatever the case may be, to really tap into living a purposeful life and doing the things that excite you and being able to inspire others.
Thank you so much. And we have Pella saying, great conversation and much love. We love you, sister. And she also said, yes, indeed, when you were talking about the regrets. So thank you so much, everyone who stayed with us through this conversation. Please share, like, because you never know who might need to listen to and hear the message today. Not everyone realizes that there is greatness in them. And I think today's message is so important for many people to hear it, especially at the end of 2020, which was very challenging. And thank you so much, Barry, for inspiring us to cultivate our own greatness, to ignite our greatness within us. And please, everyone, follow Barry. You can find him, he said, on Facebook, Instagram, also his website. He's a great man. He will teach you a lot of stuff and you can learn really real life lessons. Again, thank you so very much. I will be here next Tuesday at noon with another great guest. So please revisit. My big and huge request is please share so people know that we are here for them and I hope we will bring a little bit or more meaning into their lives, especially when we are closing this year. So thank you so much, everyone. There's another, Pella said, can wait already. Share, thank you so much. And one last reminder. To find your book, the best way to find your book is to go to your website or Amazon. That's right?
Yeah.
Yes, book is amazing. There are also exercises that you have to go through that will take you where you should go. Barry, have a wonderful day. Thank you for being you and spreading your greatness with everyone around.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.